Coming up, the home office is now perhaps the norm as job openings exist right in your own living room. Pro football begins tonight. We look forward to the Chiefs taking on the Browns come the weekend, and also ways to cope with the upcoming anniversary of the 9/11 attacks.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Good Thursday morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News where it's 5 o'clock. I'm Michael Hayslip. We've got those stories and a whole lot more on the way. But coming off of a beautiful Wednesday, we're going to check in over at the Skywatch Weather Center to see if we can duplicate this on a Thursday. Average high for this time of year, 84, exactly where we fell yesterday at Joplin Regional Airport. No chance of challenging the triple-digit record that dates back to 1947 as we take a live look over 7th and Range Line, a very comfortable 58 degrees. I think the big difference right now is the humidity staying pretty low. I mean, 84% for this time in the morning is not bad. Yeah, comparatively speaking, when we get those mornings where it's, up in the mid 70s, if not high 70s, we'll see that thing linger around 96, 97%. And that can make a huge difference as far as what it feels like. Probably don't even need the old AC for most of the morning in the car. You roll down those windows right there. Look at those temperatures. And you'll notice we don't have the big difference either from what we had yesterday as the cold front has now kind of settled squarely over us and actually pushed into northeastern Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas. 58 in Miami, 62 in Neodesha, 54 in Monette, and a clean, clear Skywatch storm tracker. Don't even have any fog to worry about on this morning. You can tell from where the jet stream is and how it pushed all the way down through really central Arkansas and Oklahoma compared to where it was yesterday. Look at this huge cutoff low right there. That's that big circular motion that you see right there in what they call the old four corners. Our weather trend for today, we are going to have a nice warm sunny afternoon. We'll make it up into say the mid 80s. We'll see a high 80 every now and then, not a whole lot, and we're going to stay on the dry side as well with a 7-day forecast of one more day of nice September temperatures because we know we've got the heat wave that's headed for us. And once we kick that in and get back to the 90s on Friday, we're looking at a pretty hot weekend there with 90s, mid-90s over the weekend and to begin next week. Hundreds of work-from-home jobs are currently available in the Joplin area, with the latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics showing 13% of employed people teleworked or worked from home and in just the last 4 weeks alone because of the pandemic. Now, some local businesses are hiring new employees specifically for work-from-home positions. Teleperformance and Dish Network have ads listed online for remote work in our area. And Alurica and Joplin working on hiring 600 employees, 600 of them. Get this, none of them are going to go into the office.
It was, like I said, something born out of necessity that was done at first, and we've just had a great time with it. And then it really did make complete sense for us to bring 600 work-at-home employees here into the Joplin area.
Alurica has filled 300 of those positions so far. Freeman health officials speaking about the upcoming flu season and how the pandemic could affect it. Last year, flu cases hit a record low, with health experts attributing to increased masking and cleaning practices. Because of the low exposure last year, CDC now worrying more people could be vulnerable this flu season. Freeman officials recommend everyone keep wearing masks, practice regular hand washing, and get the flu vaccine.
It works on a lot of different respiratory viruses, and in particular flu and RSV. So I would really strongly encourage all of us to keep that in mind, and especially, if you are a person who has pulmonary disease, that you're in that risk population, not just for COVID. And I would really strongly advise you to continue to follow those.
Health officials say it is safe to get the COVID vaccine and flu vaccine around the same time. Thousands of Missouri's school children have been diagnosed with COVID-19 since classes began, and at least one rural school closed for cleaning after an outbreak. A map on the state's COVID-19 dashboard breaks down virus cases among people ages 5 to 19 within each school district's geographic boundaries. The map shows nearly 24 districts with at least 41 new cases over the past 2 weeks. Combined, those districts alone have more than 2,900 illnesses. Locally, Joplin has the most new cases over the past 14 days, with more than 25 reported COVID-19 cases. Authorities capture a Pittsburgh man after a standoff. Police say late last month, William Patton, who was on house arrest, removed his ankle monitor. After following up on several tips, Pittsburgh police tracked down Patton at a Pittsburgh home on East 9th Street. After an hours-long standoff that involved multiple police agencies, including the KBI, police arrested Patton. He now faces additional charges of felony interference with law enforcement and unlawfully tampering with an electronic monitoring device. Now, those two are in addition to numerous previous charges that include aggravated kidnapping and aggravated assault. Authorities dropped marijuana possession charges once filed against the former Fort Scott Economic Development Director. A lawsuit filed by the former director, Rachel Pruitt, has also been dismissed. That suit alleged discrimination against Pruitt from city commissioners. Tyson's Foods is providing financial support to a McDonald County program focused on creating the region's next batch of workers. Tyson donated $10,000 to the McDonald County JAG program. JAG, J-A-G, stands for Jobs for America's Graduates. It's a program that helps students recognize their potential and equip them with the tools to land a job once they graduate. It's founded back in 1979. It's a nationwide program, serving some 76,000 students in more than 1,400 locations in 39 states.
The most out of the program that I have gotten is the information that I'm given and the resources that I'm also given to help me out with my future after high school, like college-wise.
Now it's 5:07. Let's jump to our weather trend. Even though we've got temperatures right now that are sitting in the high 50s, eventually we're going to make it up into the mid 80s. We'll see a high 80 every now and then. I think we escaped the 90-degree range, at least for today. Going to be a gorgeous day, and that north wind won't be as blustery as what it was yesterday. Future track also going to keep us dry, very, very dry. Humidity is really going to drop down during each afternoon and evening as well. So we're not going to get any showers. Wouldn't be bad if we did get a little bit every now and then. That really is not going to be the case. And then we got to prep for a little Gulf moisture and humidity to come back and get us, because over the weekend it's going to feel like it's in the high 90s. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, after beginning the season on the road, it's a week of home openers for our MIAA schools. Plus, since we're on the subject of football, NFL season starts tonight. We're asking what's your favorite level of football when it comes to watching football. And while the memories flood back 20 years later, what health professionals say about dealing with the 9/11 anniversary. You're watching the KOAM Morning News, more real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Missouri Southern Lions playing their home opener this weekend as they host Northeastern State Saturday afternoon, aiming to pick up their first win of the season. Southern comes in 0-1 last Thursday, falling in that season opener on the road, 38-0 to Nebraska Kearney. For the Lions, this coming Saturday game going to be their first home game since November 9, 2019. Excited to be at home, but also with it does come a little added pressure.
There's that added sense of pressure when all of a sudden some of your peers are sitting in the stands. Mom and dad come down to watch a game, girlfriend, your co-worker, just everybody that you see on a daily basis is now saying, hey, we'll be at the game, we'll be at the game. But the thing that we've been trying to preach and for these guys to understand is they just have to go about their business the same way. Don't get too high, don't get too low. Again, it's another game, it's another opportunity to go out and showcase our talents.
Go back to Thursday's first game for Missouri Southern, had a 2.5-hour rain delay up in Kearney. Well, guess what? Fred G. Hughes Stadium, 2 o'clock at Missouri Southern. Going to be absolutely beautiful, blue sky and a whole bunch of sunshine. Hope to see you there. Kansas City Chiefs just 3 days away from the season opener. Got the Browns on Sunday, first game of the schedule, and actually the second meeting between these two teams in 2021. That's because back in January, the Chiefs ended the Browns season, beat them 22-17 in the divisional round of the AFC playoffs. Kansas City, of course, ended up falling to the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. As a matter of fact, Tampa Bay going to get the season started tonight against the Cowboys on our sister station on Fox. Although it was the second straight appearance in the Super Bowl, getting there is not the goal for this Kansas City group.
I said it last year was a failure. It's a failure every year you don't have it. I've had, 8 years where I've failed and 1 year where I've actually, accomplished all the goals and had a successful season. That's just how I look at it, man. I'm stuck in that mode, really. I mean, it's just either you find a way to win the Lombardi or you gotta figure something out next year.
Chiefs head coach Andy Reid has faced Cleveland 8 times as a head coach. He's 8-0, 4-0 with the Eagles, and now 4-0 with KC. Both the Royals and Cardinals were on the field last night. Royals on the road. It is game 3 of their series against the Orioles. 2 teams split the first 2 games. Rubber matchup. Royals up 4 in the 4th. Get out of here. That's Salvi's 42nd. His 42nd. He's going to break Javi Lopez. Well, he's going to hit that 43 mark by Javi Lopez back in 2003. He's going to challenge John Ben's all-time record for most home runs by a catcher. I'm just going to let the rest of these highlights play, because that's kind of Royals baseball right there. Orioles won at 9-8. I think I'm telling you, the year this dude is having at his age, I don't care if he was 25 with what he's doing. It is unreal to see a catcher do that. All right, as for the Cardinals, middle of a big series against one of the best teams in the league, and they come back and beat the Dodgers 5-4. They do not pick up ground on the Padres. Padres won last night for that second wild card spot. They do pick up a game on the Reds, because the Reds got beat by the Cubs. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, evacuations and refugees from Afghanistan.
Some lawmakers are worried about the vetting process for Afghan evacuees. I'm Skyler Henry in Washington with that and more on President Biden's call for more funding to help those refugees resettle.
And to check on our updated 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Getting ready to roll past 517. Take a look at our high temperatures here over the last 10 days, because yesterday was absolutely wonderful. Just 87 degrees. Got to, break that little hot string that we had right there. And the nice thing is we're going to be just sitting on about 86, 87 again today. Now, eventually, the old roller coaster there is going to have a little bit of an upswing by the time we get to the weekend, as our hot temperatures are going to reemerge. But for the time being, high 50s, low 60s on this Thursday morning. Now, the wind did shift on us overnight, an indicator that just know the heat's going to come back in from the south-southwest, because yesterday we had that nice northerly breeze going on. Skywatch storm tracker remaining clear as can be, and a 7-day forecast that shows us over the weekend, mid-90s going to come back. Saturday is going to be a tad bit windy, as a matter of fact, and then we're going to have to ride the 90s in the beginning of next week, and look how dry it is too. Not a whole lot of shot for any rain popping up anytime soon. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. Since the 1st of July, collegiate student athletes have been able to profit off their names, image, and likeness. NIL is what you're going to hear. And they're doing this for the first time legally in the history of college sports. Now, with the first week of college football behind us, with the NFL starting tonight, with 2 weeks here in the 4 states of high school football in the books, we want to take a little deeper dive into NIL. Justin Collar spoke with an Indiana company who works on deals with student athletes.
Thanks to the NCAA, players like Purdue's David Bell can now make money off of their name, image, and likeness. So if the student athlete had a big game last weekend, you can now buy a shirt with his name on it to not only support players like Bell, but also the shop who printed it.
We'll see an uptick if a guy has a good game. Like anything, if the team's doing well, then shirt's going to sell, merchandise is going to sell.
T-shirts and stickers for 17 college athletes in Indiana. The shop prints them all.
This is kind of where it's really cool for these kids. 20 years ago, I might have said differently. Said, hey, you're on scholarship, that's enough. But from what college basketball, college football, college athletics in general, the machine it's become, they're not all going to go to the NFL or the NBA. So why not let these guys profit? It's a great learning experience for them.
A learning experience that Purdue, for one, fully supports.
It's a part of their student athlete experience, and they're learning with really hands-on experience. And before this, I don't know if they could have got that. So at Purdue, we absolutely support this opportunity.
Earlier this month, Purdue partnered with Altia Sports Partners to help teach their students and staff how to develop and manage name, image, and likeness opportunities.
But they're going to take all these skills that they learn here at Purdue, just like the rest of their coursework and what they learned from being a college athlete, and carry on that for the rest of their life.
Lives forever changed now by checks coming in the mail.
And they get a check every month. It's nice for them. Very little work involved on their end. They get input on the design, and we handle the hard stuff.
Whether these t-shirts and stickers will change the atmosphere of collegiate sport is unclear, but they're already making a statement.
I think there's some concern that there might be jealousy if one student athlete's benefiting from it, one's not. But that is a really good real world life example. That's just sometimes how things work.
There's your lowdown on NIL. Our question for you, we kind of simplified it. Now that football season's underway, what's your level of preference? Is it high school, college, or starting tonight, the NFL? You can let us know by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote or connect to us via Facebook. Gonna come back, do a little Healthwatch next. Topping Healthwatch this morning, the United States surpassing 650,000 COVID deaths this week. CDC predicts as many as 60,000 more people could die over the next 4 weeks. As students return to the classroom, more than 250,000 child COVID cases were reported last week. Thousands more students quarantining because of possible exposure. Europe's medicine regulator has added an extremely rare nerve-damaging disorder as a possible side effect of AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine. The European Medicine Agency said it is a, quote, reasonable possibility, end quote, after 833 cases of what's called GBS were reported out of 592 million doses. The EMA categorized the side effect as very rare. That's the lowest frequency of side effect category it has. And as emphasized, the benefits of the shot outweigh the risks. In the United States, the FDA has added a warning over the possible side effects of Johnson & Johnson's shot. This weekend, we remember 20 years after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. The events of 9/11 may cause more distress in many Americans, sadness, grief, anxiety. Mandy Gaither explains what's called the anniversary effect and effective ways to cope with the impending day.
It's one of those defining moments in time that changed the way that we think about the world.
20 years ago, the day America was attacked. As we count down to September 11th, the memories and the images may be overwhelming.
It really does hit you harder, especially when they're round number or big number anniversaries.
It's called the anniversary effect, an increase in distress around a traumatic event. Ken Yeager, director of the Stress, Trauma, and Resilience Program at Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, says this 9/11 anniversary may be even more troubling, especially with the turmoil in Afghanistan. If you're struggling to cope, Yeager says acknowledge those feelings, talk to someone you trust.
All of these are naturally occurring emotions, and rather than trying to avoid them, it's probably more important to name them and to call them out.
With 9/11 and in any tragic situation, Yeager says using coping skills can help.
Taking a walk, giving yourself time to sit and take a few deep breaths until you work through this, or just actually doing something to commemorate the tragic losses that occurred on that day.
And as a new generation is exposed to 9/11, Yeager says to remember to talk to your children, help them work through any feelings that may come up. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
That is a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Be right back after this.
Winter's around the corner.
Updated numbers now out for counties battling to keep the pandemic at bay. Plus, why worry about the morning commute? Turns out there's plenty of four-state opportunities to work in your living room. And while the war may be over, the fight to evacuate and relocate out of Afghanistan is far from done.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Good Thursday morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News where it's 5:30. I'm Michael Hayslip. We do have one more day of beautiful September weather before the heat wave comes back and joins us for the weekend. But as we sit over 7th and Rangeline right now, it is hard to beat this. 58 degrees. We're ranging anywhere from high 50s to low 60s on this Thursday morning. You see 61s in Neodesha and Chinook. Compare that to 54 and 55 in Monette and Cassville. But now that the cold front's kind of settled over all of us, we don't have that big discrepancy in temperatures like we did yesterday. Watch this wind shift overnight. Say that northerly breeze we got, just about flipped back around. Come in from the southwest. Now, luckily, just 5 to 10 miles per hour, so it's not going to be able to warm us up too fast. As we got a clean Skywatch storm tracker. It's a gorgeous morning. Look at that jet stream coming right out of Big Sky Country, right through us. Got that big cutoff low in what we call the Four Corners region. Kind of point that out here, right there. I mean, look at it, big circular motion. But anyway, it forces all the precipitation and thunderstorm activity east of the Mississippi. I know it'd be nice if we got just a light shower or two every now and then, but we're just going to have to not complain about being hot because it's going to be great today, but it's going to be on the dry side as Future Track has a hard time even spitting out any green anywhere in the Midwest for the most part. Humidity is going to be very, very low here for the next couple of days. 7-day forecast, a whole bunch of sunshine, and yeah, there's those 90s. I'm going to start it tomorrow. Saturday and Sunday is when it's going to kick in. It's going to feel like mid to high 90s. It won't be one of those, though, where we're going to be saying, oh my goodness, heat advisories and feeling like 105, 106. That will not be the case. But still, it's going to be a whole lot hotter than what we've had the past couple of days. Several county health departments are reporting new COVID-19 related deaths. The Joplin Health Department reports one death, bringing the city's total to 165. In Jasper County, Missouri, the health department reports 5 more deaths. That brings the county total to 207. And in Crawford County, an additional 2 fatalities, bringing Crawford's total to 104. Freeman health officials talk about the upcoming flu season and how the pandemic could affect it. Now, last year, flu cases hit a record low. Health experts attributed that to increased mask wearing and cleaning practices. But because of the low exposure last year, the CDC now worrying more people could be vulnerable to this flu season. Freeman officials recommend everyone keep wearing masks, practice regular hand washing, and get the flu vaccine.
It works on a lot of different respiratory viruses, and in particular flu and RSV. So I would really strongly encourage all of us to keep that in mind, and especially, if you are a person who has pulmonary disease, that you're an at-risk population, not just for COVID, and I would really strongly advise you to continue to follow those.
Health officials say it is safe to get the COVID vaccine and the flu vaccine at the same time. Authorities have captured a Pittsburgh man after a standoff. Police say it was late last month when William Patton, who was on house arrest, removed his ankle monitor. After following up on several tips, PPD tracked Patton down at a Pittsburgh home on East 9th Street, and after an hours-long standoff, including multiple agencies, officers arrested Patton. He now faces additional charges of felony interference with law enforcement and unlawfully tampering with an electronic monitoring device. Now, those charges are in addition to numerous previous charges that include aggravated kidnapping and aggravated assault. Authorities dropped marijuana possession charges once filed against the former Fort Scott Economic Development Director. A lawsuit filed by the former director, Rachel Pruitt, has also been dismissed. That suit alleged discrimination against Pruitt from city commissioners. 4 state employers are hiring hundreds of people to work from home. Now, working from home, a concept many of us have gotten used to during the pandemic. But now, you got 4 state businesses hiring people specifically so you can work from home. KOAM's Zach Dodge has the why and how it's a blessing for a Carl Junction family.
it's magical, really.
That magical feeling for Carl Junction resident Lauren Lanning is finding a job that will work for her and her family.
My husband, he works construction in California, and so with everything being shut down, construction came to a halt.
He's been without a job ever since. Lanning, she stays home with her 3 kids and has a disability that had kept her from working. That is until Monday rolls around and she won't even have to leave the house.
Being able to work from home, especially like right now, my son just got quarantined. If you work a regular job, that's not something that you can do. And then being able to be home where I can kind of control my environment for my disability is really beneficial.
She's one of the 600 employees that Alorica in Joplin is hiring with the intention of having them work entirely from home. When the pandemic hit, 80% of their employees were sent to work from home. Since then, Jeb Cook says they've noticed some pretty positive things.
Our employees are happy working from home. They're doing a great job of taking care of the customers.
For you guys, this really does make sense.
Absolutely, it makes sense. It was like I said, something born out of necessity that was done at first, and we've just had a great time with it.
But it's not a universal sentiment. According to the latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 13% of employed people teleworked or worked from home in the last 4 weeks, with the pandemic complicating the transition back to the office for companies like Apple, Google, and Facebook. While some companies work to get back in the office, others like Alorica and Teleperformance are embracing it.
The dream come true, really, for jobs, and they pay really well. So that's, going to be really beneficial for my family all the way around.
In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Alorica says the work-from-home jobs have been easier to fill than traditional positions. That's why 300 of the 600 jobs have already been taken. Tyson Foods is providing financial support to a McDonald County program focused on creating the region's next batch of workers. Tyson donated $10,000 to McDonald County's JAG program. JAG is short for Jobs for America's Graduate. It's a program that helps students recognize their potential, equips them with the tools to land a job once they graduate.
The most out of the program that I have gotten is the information that I'm given and the resources that I'm also given to help me out with my future after high school, like college-wise.
JAG program was founded in 1979. It's nationwide. It serves some 76,000 students in 39 states. Spring River Mental Health and Wellness Center in Riverton, Kansas, celebrating 40 years of service. Spring River's a nonprofit mental health center. It specializes in substance abuse and mental health services. It's a company that started with 9 employees 40 years ago. Well, today it has more than 60 employees that serves nearly 1,300 Cherokee County residents.
Coming together for a single purpose, which is to help others and to really have people live mentally healthy lives, is something that, we can go home and be proud of each and every day.
I want to congratulate them for the 40 years and thank them very much for helping me.
While the anniversary celebration was scaled down due to the pandemic, Spring River hopes to host a larger event in the future. Marvelous people out there. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. As the United States approaches the 9/11 anniversary, a terror trial begins in Europe. And the ground shaking in Mexico as video emerges from the country's latest earthquake. We're going to have the latest. It is just a little past 5:37. Still a good time for me. I'll say it's a good time for weather on the 7s. Of course, left to my own devices, I could probably do weather on any minute, right? Highs today in the high 80s, a lot of sunshine, not as blustery as it was yesterday. The wind has shifted, going to come in from the south. Now, the heat will come back in earnest, begins tomorrow, takes us up into the mid-90s on Saturday and Sunday, and we're going to continue that in the next week. So please enjoy some fresh air early this morning and what's really going to be a delightful Thursday. Topping World Watch, America's top diplomat is in Germany. That's where thousands of Afghan citizens are still awaiting flights to the United States. Skylar Henry is at the White House with more on the evacuation efforts.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken toured Hangar 5 at Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany, the last stop many Afghan evacuees will make before moving on to America.
Because of what you've done and because of how you've done it, you have literally saved lives. You have literally changed lives. You've literally changed futures.
Administration officials say as many as 65,000 Afghans are expected to arrive in the U.S. by the end of the month. Some Republican lawmakers, including Congressman Andy Biggs of Arizona, are concerned about the vetting process. He sent a letter to DHS demanding more information, saying we need to ensure that these individuals are being properly vetted and do not pose a risk to our communities. CBS Evening News anchor and managing editor Nora O'Donnell asked DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas why some Afghan evacuees on the terrorist watch list are showing up in America.
So how many people have been removed from the United States for showing up on one of these lists?
So our screening and vetting process is going very, very well. And we're dealing with very, very few people that have given us any cause for concern.
President Biden is asking Congress for more than $6 billion in emergency spending to help resettle the refugees in America.
This is an important responsibility of the United States government to help folks right now who are here to find places in the United States.
The Biden administration looks to be tying the request to emergency funding to deal with natural disasters such as Hurricane Ida in order to ensure bipartisan support. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
While in Germany, Secretary of State Blinken is looking to form a united front with foreign leaders in hopes of ensuring continued support for the United States to evacuate Americans and also at-risk Afghans. Nearly 6 years after ISIS terrorists killed 130 people in Paris, there's a trial now underway for the men accused of carrying out the massacre. In 2015, ISIS terrorists armed with guns and suicide bombs killed 130 people in Paris, targeting bars, restaurants, and a concert hall. Up to 1,800 survivors and relatives of victims will testify at this trial, while 20 people are on trial. Only one attacker was captured alive. Most were killed or blew themselves up in attacks throughout the city. The trial is expected to last for 9 months. Powerful earthquake struck Mexico's Acapulco region late Tuesday, 7.0 on the Richter scale. Could be felt in Mexico City. That's about 230 miles away from the epicenter. No serious damage reported, but according to officials, there was one fatality from the earthquake. That's a look at some of our biggest headlines from around the world. Let's go ahead and dive into our weather on this Thursday because our sun is going to shine and it's going to be absolutely gorgeous out today. You'll notice the wind arrows compared to what we had yesterday. We got some 20-mile-per-hour gusts yesterday. But now we're kind of light and variable. In fact, look at that right in between Parsons and Oswego. You know, I don't know how well your TV picks that up. See that arrow just spinning right there? That gives you an idea that we're in the midst of that shift. Our temperatures ranging anywhere from 54 in Monette all the way up to 61 in Chanute and Neodesha. It's a wonderful morning to roll down the old windows or, grab a cup of coffee and go enjoy sunrise, which will be here at 6:56 over Joplin. The weather trend for today, a whole bunch of sunshine, kick us up into the mid to high 80s. I don't think we're going to see any 90s on the board. That will, however, change for tomorrow because you can tell by the color contour there, you'll notice when everything starts moving in from the southwest, OKC and Tulsa begin to heat up. Yeah, it's a good indicator that beginning on Friday, we're going to be back into the 90s and on the dry side as the heat wave is here for the weekend. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Hundreds of work-from-home jobs are currently available in the Joplin area. Latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows 13% of employed people teleworked or worked from home in the last 4 weeks because of the pandemic. And now some local businesses are hiring new employees specifically for work-from-home positions. Teleperformance and Dish Network have ads listed online for remote work in our area, and Alorica in Joplin hiring 600 employees, none of whom will go into the office. Freeman health officials speaking about the upcoming flu season and how the pandemic could affect it. Now, last year, flu cases hit a record low. Health experts attributed That to increased masking and cleaning practices. But because of last year's low exposure, the CDC worries this year more people could be vulnerable this flu season. Freeman officials recommend that everyone keep wearing masks, practice regular hand washing, and get the flu vaccine. Several county health departments are reporting new COVID-19 related deaths in Joplin. One death reported, bringing the city's total to 165 people. In Jasper County, Missouri, the health department reporting 5 more deaths. That brings Jasper County's total to 207. And in Crawford County, Kansas, 2 more people have died, bringing the total to 104. Authorities capture a Pittsburgh man after a standoff. Police say late last month was when William Patton was on house arrest and removed his ankle monitor. After following up on several tips, PPD tracked him down at a home on East 9th Street, and after an hours-long standoff involving multiple agencies, law arrested Patton. He now faces additional charges of felony interference with law enforcement and unlawfully tampering with an electronic monitoring device. That's on top of numerous previous charges, including aggravated kidnapping and aggravated assault. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. And when you do, roll down that window. Probably don't even need the old air conditioner for most of the morning, as our temperatures are going to be absolutely delightful. We're sitting in the high 50s, low 60s right now, peaking out in the mid 80s this afternoon with plenty of sunshine and one more nice night before the 90s come back over the weekend. We'll be back right after this. Has become a hero. Now here's why. This came down, swooped up, and swallowed something in New York's Central Park. Now, there's only one person who could tell this story, and it's Jeannie Moose. She's got the tale of what we're just going to call the disappearing tail.
Usually creatures in Central Park, like this mandarin duck, become celebrities because they're beautiful. But what's so great about this great blue heron is what it ate in a single gulp. That's an extra-large New York City rat on the losing end of the rat race. The video was posted to Manhattan Bird Alert, a Twitter account described as your soothing source for nature photos. Soothing? The heron may have speared the rat, then drowned it.
Dunked it a bit. They like to dunk in the water the stuff that they eat so that it goes down more quickly and easily.
Rats being rats, they get little sympathy. Sure, late night once celebrated Pizza Rat.
The internet blew up over this video.
Pizza Rat even inspired Pizza Rat Man. Someone tweeted philosophically, rat eats pizza, heron eats rat, the New York City circle of life. The Daily Beast dubbed the heron the most badass New Yorker. Another person posted, does this make that blue heron the new mayor of NYC? Because it should. As for how this moment stacked up for David Barrett, the man who captured it.
Oh, right at the top. This was exciting.
Though someone noted Sylvester Stallone did it first.
This is a rat burger.
There was one part of the heron video that seemed to get everybody. The tail, though.
It's like slurping down spaghetti.
When I eat like that, my husband scolds me, read one post. We once saw a rat about to be squished by traffic. Suddenly, a bystander came to its rescue. But there was no last-minute reprieve for this rat. The dining ambiance included music and crickets. Afterwards, the heron just vegged out, resting. No need for another meal that day.
And it probably didn't want to fly after taking down something so heavy.
Great blue herons, they're just like us, too full to move after, say, a turkey dinner. Jeannie Moose, CNN, New York.
I tried frantically while that story was going on to log into Twitter and look up the Manhattan Bird account. Of course, of all the times I would try to do that, Twitter not functioning right now. I apologize. I really wanted to get to the Manhattan Bird account and check out our soothing pictures of what they had to say. Anyhow, that being said, we're going to come back. We're going to check out some Atlantic Basin storms and our heat wave that's on our way when we return. Not as wide as we had temperature gap-wise yesterday. You know, when we were waiting for that cold front to settle in on us, we had anywhere from 10, 11 degree difference from north to south. Now we're all kind of nestled together. Y'all know it's a little bit warmer out to the west, where you see 60s in Independence and Neodesha compared to mid 50s there out to the east in Monette and Cassville. Let's roll 58 in Joplin, 59 in Miami. As far as our winds, watch these arrows just flip overnight. So now we're going to work in from the southwest. Now usually that's an indicator of much warmer temperatures. Not necessarily the case for today, because it's not going to come in but 5 to 10 miles per hour. Humidity is going to stay low. And so our afternoon high is going to be similar in nature to what we had yesterday, say 86, 87 degrees. You'll notice though on the far right-hand side of the panel, look at that. Overnight, we're not going to be able to make it back down into the 50s. That's an indicator of the warmth that is headed our way for the weekend, as we're in the 90s. We'll be back right after this. Coming up, the home office is perhaps the norm, as job openings exist right in your own living room. Pro football begins tonight as we look forward to the weekend as the Chiefs take on the Browns. Also, in the midst of the pandemic, the parade in the Big Apple is back on.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good Thursday morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News, where it's 6 o'clock. We got those stories on the way. Coming off of what was a beautiful Wednesday, we're going to check in with the old Skywatch storm tracker to see if we can get a repeat performance. Topped out around 87 degrees at Joplin Regional Airport on Wednesday. That's right on par for where we'd anticipate being as we push into the middle of September, and really right where we're going to be once again today. Got to go back to early August for the last time that we were able to string together multiple days that have been like this. Even with that interruption of the 90s that we had, it really has been a long time coming that we haven't had the heat kind of intrude upon us in some form or fashion, unlike we had over the weekend and into the middle of this week. 56 is where we stand right now in Joplin. One of those mornings where you can just roll down the windows and enjoy the fresh air on the morning commute. 58 in Oswego, 55s in Lamar and Carthage, and throw 58 in Miami as well. Watch the wind arrows here as we progress overnight. Instead of that northerly breeze that picked up some 20-mile-an-hour gusts yesterday, instead of the northerly, it's going to work in from the south-southwest. Now, normally that would be an indicator of, oh, okay, it's going to warm up fast, because we don't even have any clouds to slow us down. But we're going to kind of luck out because the jet stream's still forcing that cooler air all the way down to the southeastern portion of the United States. So we don't have to worry about a massive heat up, at least on Thursday. Now, our tune's going to change here by the time we roll into Friday. You'll notice the color contour for Friday afternoon. That's going to sneak back in with the old orange and red. And so the 90s are going to reemerge for the weekend. As far as what we're looking at on the 7-day forecast, it's also dry. Don't have any really serious shots for rain there all the way into the middle of next week. Hundreds of work-from-home jobs are currently available in the Joplin area, with the latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics showing 13% of employed people either teleworked or worked from their home in the last 4 weeks because of the pandemic. And now some local businesses are hiring new employees specifically for work-from-home positions. Teleperformance and Dish Network have ads listed online for remote work in the area, and Alorica in Joplin. It's working on hiring 600 employees. None of them are going to go into the office.
It was, like I said, something born out of necessity that was done at first, and we've just had a great time with it. And then it really did make complete sense for us to bring 600 work-at-home employees here into the Joplin area.
Alorica has already filled 300 of those positions. Freeman health officials spoke about the upcoming flu season and how the pandemic could affect it. Last year, flu cases hit a record low. Health experts attributing that to mask wearing and cleaning practices. But because of last year's low exposure, CDC now worrying more people could be more vulnerable this flu season. Freeman officials recommend everyone keep wearing masks, practice regular hand washing, and get the flu vaccine.
it works on a lot of different respiratory viruses, in particular flu and RSV. So I would really strongly encourage all of us to keep that in mind, and especially, if you are a person who has pulmonary disease, that you're an at-risk population, not just for COVID, and I would really strongly advise you to continue to follow those.
Health officials say it is safe to get the COVID vaccine and the flu vaccine around the same time. Thousands of Missouri children have been diagnosed with COVID-19 since the new school year began, and at least one rural school district closed for cleaning after an outbreak. There's a map on the state's COVID-19 dashboard that breaks down virus cases among people ages 5 to 19, and it does so within each school district's geographic boundaries. Map shows nearly 24 districts with at least 41 new cases over the past 14 days. Combined, those districts alone have more than 2,900 illnesses. Locally, Joplin has the most new cases over the past 14 days, more than 25 reported COVID-19 cases. Authorities capture a Pittsburgh man after a standoff. Let's go back to last month, because that's when police say William Patton was on house arrest and, well, he removed his ankle monitor. After following up on several tips, PPD tracked Patton down at a Pittsburgh home last night on East 9th Street. After an hours-long standoff that even included the KBI, law officers arrested Patton. He now faces additional charges of felony interference with law enforcement and unlawfully tampering with an electronic monitoring device. Those charges are in addition to numerous previous charges, including aggravated kidnapping and aggravated assault. Authorities dropped marijuana possession charges once filed against the former Fort Scott Economic Development Director. A lawsuit filed by the former director, Rachel Pruitt, has also been dismissed. That suit alleged discrimination against Pruitt from city commissioners. Tyson Foods providing financial support to a McDonald County program that's focused on creating the region's next batch of workers. Tyson donated $10,000 to the McDonald JAG program, McDonald County JAG program. So JAG, it stands for Jobs for America's Graduates. It's a program that helps students recognize their potential, equipping them with tools to land a job once they graduate. JAG program, founded in 1979, it's nationwide, 76,000 students in more than 39 states.
The most out of the program that I have gotten is the information that I'm given and the resources that I'm also given to help me out with my with my future after high school, like college-wise.
Just another little quick addendum to the JAG program. It actually has more than 1,400 locations. This is where we stand right now on the Skywatch storm track. I tell you, contiguous 48 minus the mid-Atlantic and the East Coast, relatively quiet right there. Look at that big circle over the four corners. Indicative of what they call cutoff low, but not a whole lot of action in it. That does not do anything to help their elevated fire concerns. For us, the big thing is the cooler air that's being whipped down from Big Sky Country, almost the Canadian border right there. As you can tell, that cold front, that's penetrated all the way down the southeastern portion of the United States. Just marvelous middle of September temperatures here, at least for one more day. Now, we know Mother Nature can't spoil us for too long, right? So as we work into Friday, you'll notice the orange and the red begin to creep back in. As we get into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 90s return, especially over the weekend where we'll hit the mid-90s. Watch out for the wind on Saturday as well. Going to be a tad bit breezy. Also of note, it's a 7-day forecast that's a tad bit barren of any chances for rain. As a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes, coming up on the KOAM Morning News, why it may be cheaper to take to the friendly skies, plus from one vaccine to another. Yeah, we're now prepping for flu season. And give him a ring. Yeah, you better call Saul. Bob Odenkirk is back. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. As a matter of fact, along with Bob, we'll be right back. Food and farm workers. The millions of dollars the USDA said it's offering is doing so in and nonprofits to help cover things like PPE, dependent care, likely to drop this fall. That's according to site hopping. Prices are expected to drop 10% from September through late November. Average round-trip ticket projected to cost $260. Now, while that is up from 2020, fall costs are lower than pre-pandemic prices. The most recent jobs report shows hiring slowed down significantly last month, even though there are millions of job openings. Naomi Rockham tells us how pandemic-related issues are preventing some people from going back to work.
Been unemployed since the beginning of lockdown.
Natasha Bingelli was a caretaker for seniors and the disabled before the pandemic. She wants to go back to work, but her daughter's been remote learning, and now there's a bus driver shortage.
My only option right now for her to go to school is to drive her there and pick her up every day, which completely rules out me going to get a job.
The latest numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics show there are a record number of job openings, nearly 11 million. That's more than the 8.4 million Americans who are unemployed.
There is a mismatch right now.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says there are several reasons why many jobless people are not getting into the workforce.
Childcare issues that are really difficult to juggle. There are people who live with immunocompromised folks in their homes, so they've got health concerns. And maybe it's also this idea that the previous industry that employed you is still in flux.
Priscilla Bell is one of those people. The exercise instructor is getting some work, but most gyms in her area are not offering group classes because of COVID.
It frustrates me because I have a skill. I have a skill that I've been doing. It's what I do, and I've been doing it forever.
She thought business would pick up this summer, but then coronavirus cases started to increase.
I don't have control over when gyms open and close. Or now the Delta variant, I don't even know what's going to happen.
Bell says she is behind on rent and has applied for work in other industries to try and pay the bills. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
Job postings on Indeed.com in late August were up 39% compared to February of 2020, a month before the pandemic started. Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade going to be an in-person event this year. Last year it was a made-for-TV only event, limited performances, no giant balloons, no festive floats. But participants this year, well, they are going to be required to show proof of vaccination and wear a mask. The 95th annual Macy's Day Parade kicks off Thanksgiving morning in New York City. That is it for Consumer Watch. We'll be right back. Get on the old Skywatch storm tracker right after this. Great news for binge watchers. Bob Odenkirk. He's back to work on Better Call Saul. Now, this comes after a serious health scare earlier this summer. That's when Odenkirk collapsed from what he called a small heart attack while on the set of Better Call Saul. That happened back in July. Odenkirk currently filming the show's 6th season in the Kirky. Odenkirk plays lawyer Saul Goodman. It's a prequel to the AMC hit show Breaking Bad. I don't often give recommendations, but if you haven't checked it out, you are missing out. Now we got a first look at Leo and Jennifer Lawrence's latest film, as well as a comedian showing off her dramatic side. Rick DeMiguela has the Hollywood Minute.
This will affect the entire planet. I know, but it's like so stressful.
Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence team up to save the world. This is your first look at the two Oscar-winning stars in the Netflix comedy Don't Look Up, as two astronomers who warn mankind about an asteroid that will destroy Earth.
You have to be the strangest poker player I ever met.
Oh, you have no idea.
Tiffany Haddish is famous for her big personality, but she explains that working on the new drama The Card Counter forced her to flex a new set of acting muscles.
I was learning how powerful stillness can be. You know, I'm so used to gotta move a hand, gotta smile, gotta twinkle eyes, do something, you know, to get your point across. And you don't have to do anything. You can let the words be the power and you just be there.
Iron Iron Maiden prepares for battle. The legendary metal band released the animated music video for their latest song, Stratego, which follows a warrior's journey through ancient Japan to defeat two powerful evils. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
When I woke up this morning, I did not plan on ending a story with Iron Maiden. We'll be back with Healthwatch next. Topping Healthwatch this morning, the Supreme Court will hold oral arguments in its courtroom beginning next month. Justices have been working cases via conference call due to the COVID pandemic for more than a year now. Not only the justices, but also lawyers, essential personnel, and journalists will be allowed in the courtroom. Now, the live audio feed that has become a staple for oral arguments during the pandemic, it will continue on. Justices are slated to hear a major Second Amendment case coming up on November the 3rd. A new mandate for Disney employees. Company says U.S. workers must be vaccinated against the coronavirus by the end of September. And Disney says any new staff hired after September 30th must show proof of vaccination at least 1 week prior to the start date. Mandate follows the FDA giving full approval to the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. American Academy of Pediatrics recommends all children ages 6 months and older get vaccinated for the flu this fall. In previous years, about 80% of children who died from the flu had not received the vaccine. The AAP says the flu vaccine is especially important during the COVID pandemic. And it's lit! More college-age adults are using marijuana. That's according to a study by the National Institute of Health, the study finding that over the past 5 years, there's been a rise in college students using pot. Using the drug was also at historically high levels in 2020 among people who are the same age, but not in college. So this represents the highest levels of marijuana use recorded since the 1980s. New research suggests the location of healthy foods in a supermarket can make a difference. United Kingdom researchers finding customers make better choices when fruits and veggies are near the store entrance and when unhealthy foods are removed from checkout by the nearby aisles. Let's look at some of today's top health stories as you're watching the KOAM Morning News. Sunny skies and mid to high 80s later today. We've got heat on its way for Friday, but one more day of delightful mid-September weather. We'll be back right after this. Updated numbers now out for counties battling to keep the pandemic at bay. And why worry about the morning commute when it turns out there's plenty of four-state opportunities to work from your living room? Also, first responders prepare for the anniversary of 9/11.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Good Thursday morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News, where we find ourselves at 5:30. We've got one more day of beautiful September weather. And then we've got a heat wave on the way for the weekend. But I tell you what, if you're out and about this morning, great opportunity to roll down the windows, maybe just step outside, check out sunrise and enjoy some fresh air. Temperatures right now in the high 50s, low 60s. A weather trend that put us at 87 yesterday at Joplin Regional Airport. So it was very, very comfortable. Weather trend now, boom, there. Yeah, had to call for it. Sometimes if you go weather trend, show up. It'll just pop up like that. 87 wasn't too bad yesterday at Joplin Regional Airport. We did have a good north breeze that did not disappoint. That was for sure. I had some 20-mile-an-hour gusts. Sky's beginning to lighten up over Television City. Tell you what, since we're out here on Thursday having a good time, let's go ahead and put it in motion. We don't do that very often there. But number one, everybody be careful, 7th and range line. All right, we got first responder out there, and I need everybody to slow down. So that's a live traffic report. You don't get that in the four states very much now, do you? There's a gorgeous looking sunrise, though. So once again, now I'm dead serious. So be careful right there and let that first responder do his or her job, please. 56 degrees is where we stand in Joplin. Temperatures ranging anywhere from mid-50s. We've had a couple 60s dot on the board, slipping down to about 59, 58. And watch the windows here. Overnight, just absolutely flipped on us. So instead of coming in from the north, we're going to roll south-southwest today, but only do so at 5 to 10 miles per hour. That's the Skywatch storm tracker with the satellite layer on. an indicator that it's going to be nothing but sunshine today. Now, normally you go, okay, a whole bunch of sunshine and a south wind. How hot is it going to get? Not bad. Still not bad. That's thanks in part to the jet stream bringing us some cooler air. Tone kind of changes, though, beginning on Friday, and then we're into the mid-90s for Saturday and Sunday. Several county health departments are reporting new COVID-19 related deaths. The Joplin Health Department reports 1 fatality. That brings the city's total to 165. In Jasper County, Missouri, the health department reporting 5 more deaths. That brings Jasper County's total to 207. And in Crawford County, Kansas, 2 more people have died, bringing the county's total to 104. Freeman health officials talked about the upcoming flu season and how the pandemic could affect it. Last year, flu cases hit a record low. Health experts attributed that to increased masking and cleaning practices, but because of the low exposure, the CDC worries more people could be vulnerable this flu season. Freeman officials recommend everyone to keep wearing masks, practice regular hand washing, and get the flu vaccine.
It works on a lot of different respiratory viruses, and in particular flu and RSV. So I would really strongly encourage all of us to keep that in mind, and especially, if you are a person who has pulmonary disease, that you're in that risk population, not just for COVID. And I would really strongly advise you to continue to follow those.
Officials say it is safe to get the COVID vaccine and the flu vaccine at around the same time. Authorities capture a Pittsburgh man after a standoff. We'll go back and start this story last month. That's because PPD says William Patton removed his ankle monitor. So that happened last month, and after following up on several tips, last night PPD found Patton at a house on East 9th Street. After an hours-long standoff involving multiple agencies, including the KBI, officers arrested Patton. He now faces additional charges of felony interference with law enforcement and unlawful tampering with an electronic monitoring device. Those are in addition to numerous previous charges, including aggravated kidnapping and aggravated assault. Authorities dropped marijuana possession charges once filed against the former Fort Scott Economic Development Director. A lawsuit filed by the former director, Rachel Pruitt, has also been dismissed. That suit alleged discrimination against Pruitt from city commissioners. 4 state employers are hiring hundreds of people to work from home. It's a concept many people have gotten used to during the pandemic, but now some local businesses are hiring people specifically so they can work from home. KOAM's Zach Dodge has the why and how it's a blessing for a Carl Junction family.
It's magical, really.
That magical feeling for Carl Junction resident Lauren Lanning is finding a job that will work for her and her family.
My husband, he works construction in California, and so with everything being shut down, construction came to a halt.
He's been without a job ever since. Lanning, she stays home with her 3 kids and has a disability that had kept her from working. That is until Monday rolls around and she won't even have to leave the house.
Being able to work from home, especially like right now, my son just got quarantined. If you work a regular job, that's not something that you can do. And then being able to be home where I can kind of control my environment for my disability is really beneficial.
She's one of the 600 employees that Alorica in Joplin is hiring with the intention of having them work entirely from home. When the pandemic hit, 80% of their employees were sent to work from home. Since then, Jeb Cook says they've noticed some pretty positive things.
Our employees are happy working from home. They're doing a great job of taking care of the customers.
For you guys, this really does make sense.
Absolutely, it makes sense. It was like I said, something born out of necessity that was done at first, and we've just had a great time with it.
But it's not a universal sentiment. According to the latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 13% of employed people teleworked or worked from home in the last 4 weeks, with the pandemic complicating the transition back to the office for companies like Apple, Google, and Facebook. While some companies work to get back in the office, others like Alorica and Teleperformance are embracing it.
The dream come true, really, for jobs, and they pay really well. So that's, going to be really beneficial for my family all the way around.
In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Alorica says the work-from-home jobs have been easier to fill than traditional positions. Maybe that's why 300 of the 600 jobs have already been filled. Tyson Foods providing financial support to a McDonald County program focused on creating the region's next batch of workers. Tyson donated $10,000 to the McDonald County JAG program. That's J-A-G. Stands for Jobs for America's Graduates. It's a program that helps students recognize potential, equips them with tools, and lands a job once they graduate.
The most out of the program that I have gotten is the information that I'm given and the resources that I'm also given to help me out with my future after high school, like college-wise.
JAG program was founded in 1979. It's nationwide, serves 76,000 students in 39 states. Spring River Mental Health and Wellness Center in Riverton, Kansas, celebrating 40 years of service. Spring River is a nonprofit mental health center that specializes in substance abuse and mental health services. 40 years ago, it started with 9 employees. Today, it has more than 60 employees and serves nearly 1,300 Cherokee County residents.
Us all coming together for a single purpose, which is to help others and to really have people live mentally healthy lives, is something that, you know, we can go home and be proud of each and every day.
I want to congratulate them for the 40 years and very much for helping me.
While the anniversary celebration was scaled down due to the pandemic, Spring River hopes to host a larger event coming up in the near future. That's a look at this morning's top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, a massive Civil War statue is removed amidst protests. Plus, with football season here, we ask you what's your preference when it comes to your viewing habits. And as we find ourselves just around about 6:35, here's a look at our 7-day forecast. Highs today around 87 degrees. It's going to be nice, warm, and sunny, and then we're just going to call the weekend what it is, and that's going to be hot. We'll be back with Nation Watch next. Topping Nation Watch this morning in the moments after terrorists attacked the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. Brave first responders rushed in to help. The aftermath at the Pentagon has sometimes been called the forgotten 9/11. Isabel Rosales spoke with the man in charge of local, state, and federal emergency response in the immediate aftermath and in the days that followed the attack on D.C. The reason he insists terrorists failed. We're going to come back to that story. My apologies. That being said, we'll transition into the Elizabeth Holmes trial as opening statements are underway for the highly anticipated courtroom hearings for the founder of Theranos. Fallen tech stars accused of duping financial backers, customers, and patients into believing that her startup was about to revolutionize medicine. Now, if convicted, Holmes could be sentenced to 20 years in prison. It's a stunning reversal of fortune for an entrepreneur whose wealth was once pegged at $4.5 billion. Largest Confederate statue in the United States came down in Richmond, Virginia, while many saw the statue of General Robert E. Lee as a symbol of racial injustice. Spectators cheering as the 12-ton statue was uplifted from its pedestal. The statue stood on the city's Monument Avenue for more than 130 years. Today, crews will remove the plaques from the base of the monument in a time capsule that is believed to be located at the site. For now, the statue will be placed in storage. So look at today's top national stories. As far as our something to talk about this morning, we got a little football on our hands. We talked earlier about name, image, and likeness and the role that it's now playing in college athletics as those athletes are able to get a little spending money on the side and do so quite quickly. And of course, coming up this Sunday, right here on CBS, kickoff, 3:25 primetime game. How about that? Patrick Mahomes hosting the Cleveland Browns. And we talked about Chiefs and Browns. This will actually be the second time in the same calendar year these two have played, going back to last January when Kansas City knocked Cleveland out of the playoffs. Then we've got a good one coming up right here on CBS on Saturday. Now think about this. Of course, we all know it's the anniversary of 9/11. Well, we've actually got Air Force versus Navy. I know it's on the gridiron, but at the same point in time, apropos to have those two schools face off on that anniversary. Our question for you, no, it's not that serious. It's just, what's your level of preference with all three open? And of course, remember, we're 2 weeks into high school football through Southwest Missouri. Week 2 for Southeast Kansas on a high school level, getting started right now. Northeast Oklahoma already rolling through as well. But it looks like the Chiefs have probably won your hearts over. Rams maybe for that matter. I know there's some Cowboy fans out there as well, as 55% of you say you do prefer the NFL. We'll be back. You can always take part. Remember, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote or connect to us through Facebook as well. Now, we'll be back. Let's do a little birthday and anniversary celebration right after this. We take this time to honor this morning's four-state hero. Jaron Houston served in the United States Navy since 2004, a native of Parsons, Kansas, who was aboard the USS Saipan. We are proud to salute Jaron Houston, this morning's four-state hero. We begin our birthday list with a big number 4. It is Reagan Robinson. Reagan, we wish you a big happy birthday wish, kiddo. What a gorgeous picture right there. Look at all those wonderful flowers. Reagan is in Neodesha. Stetson model. Whoa! Stetson, get out of here, man. My goodness, kiddo. Wonderful catch. Well, Stetson's celebrating his 6th birthday in Thayer, and Stetson, I want you to know that his happy birthday wishes comes from Sparky and Grandma, and my goodness, you keep fishing, kid. That's great. Aaron Coleman, now double digits. Marvelous picture right there, Aaron. Happy birthday to you in Pittsburgh. Magdalene Huser is also celebrating her 10th birthday. Now, that cake that you see right there, that cake was decorated by Magdalene for the state fair. Magdalene, that is absolutely wonderful. And a very happy birthday to you in Independence. Cohen Epler, now 15. Happy birthday to Cohen in Columbus. And Stephen Brumbaugh. Hey, what's up, Stephen? Long time no see, man. He's celebrating his 34th right there. That's teaching the younger generation. Happy birthday, my man. Amy Dooley. She is turning 35, and see that little precious one in her arms. Well, that's Kennedy, her daughter, and Kennedy just celebrated her 4th birthday a couple days ago. So Amy and Kennedy, both big happy birthday to you in Columbus. Gina Kendall, she is turning 50. Congratulations, Gina, and a very happy birthday. Pat Jacoberger. Pat, she's celebrating in Columbus. And Pat, that's a wonderful picture right there. Happy birthday. Matthew Rattery. He's got a birthday in Pittsburgh. Everybody run by. Tell Matthew a big happy birthday from us as well. Now, this is a day late, but not a dollar short. Happy birthday to Chad Yates. That dude's always got a smile on his face. Happy birthday, Chad. Mary Jo Little. Oh, Mary Jo, a very happy birthday to you, but I think you've got probably bigger and better things that you're celebrating right now, it looks like. Happy birthday, Mary Jo. And Mike and Sandy Wommeldorf, they are celebrating their 38th anniversary. Congratulations, Mike and Sandy. They're in Parsons. Who that is? That dude right there, Nick Kelly, our own Nick Kelly, our own meteorologist Nick Kelly. He lets me just kind of hang back here in the Skywatch Weather Center. I go to him if I ever need anything serious. No. Nick, absolutely love working with you. We all love you, man, and a very, very happy birthday. And she's kind of like, I mean, I don't know. It's like no offense to Mama Hayslip, but ever since I've been here, Cindy Davis, she's kind of been like a mother figure in the fact that she takes care of me. And Cindy, you don't know how much that has meant to me over the years. I absolutely adore you, and don't think I would have made it this far without you, man. I promise you that. Very happy birthday. Mercedes Morris, she is 32. Happy birthday to M Squared in Parsons. Rhonda Kamek, happy birthday in Hepla. And Randy Beck. Randy's celebrating in Pittsburgh. We'll wrap it up with Steve and Carolyn Turner celebrating their 40th anniversary. Congratulations to the Turners in Joplin. Here's where you send them into KOAM Birthdays at KOAMTV.com. You can also do it online at KOAMNewsNow.com. And while you're on KOAMNewsNow.com, you can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club. Got great special deals from local businesses. And once again, all you got to do, go to KOAMNewsNow.com, sign up for the Birthday Club today, and we'll be right back after this. We touched on just a little bit earlier, but kind of want to do a little bit longer form on it. And of course, that's with the anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks coming up this weekend. The aftermath of what happened at the Pentagon, that's sometimes called the forgotten 9/11. And our reporter, Isabel Rosales, she had the opportunity to sit down and talk with the person who was in charge of local, state, and federal emergency response in the immediate aftermath of the Pentagon in the days following the attack in D.C. And it was kind of an interesting sit down, and he also gave his reasons for why he insists terrorists failed.
20 years ago, under crystal clear blue skies, Americans were unaware that 4 planes would be hijacked and would forever change our nation. One of them targeting this iconic building in Washington.
The Pentagon as the headquarters for the United States military, I think, is a symbol of what we project to the world in terms of how we defend our nation.
James Schwartz led the unified emergency response to the attack at the Pentagon. A split second before his training kicked in, he says he took it all in.
There was definitely a moment where, taking in the fire and smoke, that we're in this now.
Firefighters face life-threatening obstacles to free survivors.
It's a terrorist attack. It's a mass casualty incident. It's a large fire. There's a hazardous materials dimension to this, and there's a technical rescue after the collapse occurs.
Schwartz eventually learned Flight 77 slammed into a less populated area undergoing renovation, far away from leadership, including the Secretary of Defense. The attack at the Pentagon killed 184 people.
All of them, obviously, precious lives. But when you think about the 25,000 people that normally work in that building, if that airplane had struck any other area or that renovation had not been taking place, it's likely that the numbers would have exceeded New York.
But the terrorists failed to break the American spirit. In Congress, Republicans and Democrats sing elbow to elbow. Over the still smoldering section of the Pentagon, soldiers and firefighters drape the American flag.
I get a little lump in my throat because that was, I think, our way of demonstrating that you're not going to defeat the United States of America, that we're still here, that this building that we're standing in front of is not the United States of America. It's all of these people.
On this anniversary of one of America's darkest moments, Schwartz says, remember the light, the lives lost.
Every night at the dinner table, an empty seat. Every holiday or every birthday that that loved one is absent.
The heroes.
I don't think there's been a day since that I don't think about them.
And the countless others inspired by these devastating images to answer the call to public and military service. Fortifying that promise, never forget. 20 years later. In Washington, Isabel Rosales.
Let's check in with our top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Hundreds of work-from-home jobs are currently available in the Joplin area. Latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics showing 13% of employed people teleworked or worked from home in the last 4 weeks because of the pandemic. Now some local businesses are hiring new employees specifically for work-from-home positions. Teleperformance and Dish Network have ads listed online for remote work in the area, and Alorica in Joplin working on hiring 600 employees, none of whom will go to the office. Freeman health officials talking about the upcoming flu season and how the pandemic could affect it. Last year, flu cases hit a record low. Health experts attributing that to masking practices and cleaning practices. But because of the low exposure last year, CDC worries more people could be vulnerable this flu season. So Freeman officials recommending everyone keep wearing masks, practice regular hand washing, and get the flu vaccine. Several county health departments are reporting new COVID-19 related deaths. In Joplin, the health department reports one death, bringing the city's total to 165. In Jasper County, the health department reporting 5 fatalities. That brings the county total to 207. In Crawford County, Kansas, 2 more people have died, bringing Crawford's total to 104. Authorities capture a Pittsburgh man after a standoff. Now, this all started late last month. That's when PPD says William Patton was on house arrest but removed his ankle monitor. After following up on several tips, Pittsburgh police tracked down Patton at a home on East 9th Street, and after an hours-long standoff that involved multiple agencies, including the KBI, officers arrested Patton. Patton now faces additional charges of felony interference with law enforcement and unlawfully tampering with an electronic monitoring device, in addition to numerous previous charges, including aggravated kidnapping and aggravated assault. That is a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Now, let's take one more look at our Insta poll on the KOAM News Now Facebook page. What we're asking about this morning was your level of preference, because here's what we've got going on this weekend. We've got the Chiefs hosting the Cleveland Browns. It's going to be right here on CBS. Going to kick off. Tune in about 3 o'clock if you want to get everything done in the morning. I completely understand. Of course, our coverage will start at 11 a.m., but Chiefs going to play right here against the Browns. Kick off at 3:20. Over on Fox, we've got Ohio State, Oregon, starting off our coverage tomorrow. Of course, Pitt State tomorrow night, or Saturday night, excuse me. Missouri Southern at home at 2. Both those have their home openers. Right here on CBS, we've got Navy Air Force on the anniversary of 9/11. And of course, tomorrow night, we're jam-packed. We got high school football. So it's just out of curiosity we asked, what's your level of preference? And it looks like Chiefs winning everybody's heart. 55% of you say, just give me a Sunday in the NFL. All right, let's take one final look through our weather here. A live look outside of a beautiful 7th and Range line. Gorgeous and perfect temps where you don't have anything to worry about today. How nice is it to be able to say that, weather-wise? We don't have anything to worry about. 56 in Joplin, 59 in Parsons, 55 in Monette, and 57 in Miami. Now watch the wind arrows. Overnight, they just shifted on us, and usually it'd say, oh, is it going to heat up? No, it's not going to be bad at all. Today, we'll roll 87. That's exactly where we were yesterday at Joplin Regional Airport. Now, it's not going to last forever, so the heat wave really does kind of kick in beginning on Friday. And we were talking about all those games over the weekend. Might be a good time to find some air conditioning. It's going to be right back into the mid-90s for Friday and Saturday. Now, coming up today at noon. All right, hey, we saw Magdalene's birthday cake there, or not birthday cake, or state fair cake that she decorated. Well, if you think you got a grand prize worthy recipe, evidently Howard's got something in store from us. He's got a skillet dish in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Of course, your morning news continues on KOAM. CBS Morning News, that's coming up next. You got Tony, Gail, and now Nate Burleson. Or you can switch on over to us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, we'll bring you additional stories as we get ready for the anniversary of 9/11. That does it for this Thursday edition of the KOAM Morning News. I hope you have a chance to get some sunshine and some fresh air today. Do me a favor, be safe. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.